Hey yo, welcome to Adventures with Aggie, brought to you by Coco's Coffee House. NYU friends located in New York City, go check them out and tell them that Aggie sent you. Today we have our second episode of Footy Freestylin with Aggie, and we're featuring Imelda Ascensio-Gomez. She's ranked number 4 in the United States for female freestyle, and she's going to tell us a bit about her story, how she got into freestyle, and how accessible it is. Anybody can freestyle because all you need is a ball. So please welcome Imelda. Imelda, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for coming on. I'm so excited to share your story. Let's just kind of start with, can you give me some background on who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I was born in Northern Virginia. I'm from Northern Virginia. I lived in Richmond for like 4 years, completing my undergrad degree there. And I do freestyle soccer as a hobby. It's not something I'm trying to pursue professionally, but it's like a big hobby of mine. I love it. It's something that I enjoy competing. I enjoy teaching and just being surrounded by a community of freestylers and just like expressing creativity that way. That's like a big passion of mine.
That's one thing that I've learned from speaking with freestylers with these interviews is that it's a community. Like there's this huge family kind of aspect. Maybe that is because it's kind of small, like we were talking about before we started recording, but it is like a small world that I feel like lots of people know each other. But I guess before we kind of dive into that, I want to hear about this research psychologist dream that you have. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I completed my undergrad in psychology at VCU in Richmond. And throughout those years, I was kind of like just delving into different fields and areas of study. And I was just like, psychology was the biggest standout to me. I was just like, this is like a big interest of mine. So throughout undergrad, I was doing like a lot of internships, a lot of jobs, different things that I just kind of wanted to like dip my toes in. I wanted to see like, okay, is this something I actually want to pursue? Because I'm like a big person of not wasting time. I don't like just kind of going into something not knowing if it's something I really want to do. I really want to make sure if I'm going to pursue something that I'm going to love it and it's a passion of mine. So that's kind of what I was doing all throughout undergrad. And I realized that it was something that I wanted to pursue like professionally. Like I wanted to either do research or therapy. And that's something I'm still kind of wrestling with. I don't really know which side of psychology I want to do because it's so broad. But right now I am applying into master's and doctorate programs. I had an interview for a developmental psychology doctorate program, and their research focuses on like doing community interventions and reaching out to like minority youth and kind of looking at different risk factors and ways to promote like healthy development and positive development, different things like that. So that's a big passion of mine, but also like the therapy side of it. I'm like really interested in mental health and like how different, like how to basically like I don't like medicine. Like I don't like when people will just kind of prescribe medicine for like quick fixes for different mental health disorders. So I really like cognitive behavioral therapy, which is kind of like um, going and rewiring your brain and thinking different thoughts to allow yourself to kind of get through like a mental episode. So I'm a big like proponent of that. Like I want to be involved in some sort of like counseling therapy that places a large emphasis on that. So that's I'm like so torn between those two sides of psychology. I love psychology. So, that's why I'm aspiring to do. I haven't like gotten anywhere currently. Like I'm currently working in a group home with people with disabilities. So I work with people who have developmental disabilities and intellectual disabilities. And that's kind of what I do right now. I just support them, help them like do different activities, different routines throughout their day, helping them achieve their goals, different things like that. But ultimately, like I want to do like a lot more in the field, but I'm still on my way up.
I love that. I can feel how much you like it. Like just from
Yeah.
hearing you talk about it, which is so exciting. But there's time. You'll figure it out. I'm so excited to see where you go and how that works out. Let's touch base in a few months and see what happens. But let's kind of move into freestyle. I was actually speaking with another freestyler the other day about the
Mhm.
mental side of freestyle, which I feel like maybe that you like that as well.
Yeah.
But can you kind of tell me like why freestyle? How did you get into this from the beginning?
Yeah, so I started freestyle when I was 15. And so it's been almost 8 years now. And my brother actually got me into it. It was weird because I was like probably the most unlikely person ever to pursue freestyle. Like I played tennis as a kid. I was very non-creative. I didn't like kind of stepping outside of my comfort zone. My brother, he started freestyle a lot. A lot of time before me, and he kind of wanted me to do it with him for a while, for maybe like 3 years, but I was just always like, no, like I could never do stuff like that, like that's too like outside of my comfort zone. But eventually, like I realized, I don't know why, like one day I was just kind of, it was just kind of like a click moment. I was just kind of like, I think I want to do something different, like I wanted to pursue a sport that was unique. And my brother he was already a professional at that point. So he kind of helped me and helped me learn different tricks, the basics. It took like a lot of time though, because I didn't know soccer, I didn't know juggling, I didn't know anything. So it took me maybe like a year to even learn juggling consistently. So it's been a long journey with freestyle, but that's really why, like, I really wanted to pursue something that was unique and challenging. Like, I really wanted to step out of my comfort zone. Like, I don't know, just growing up, I felt like I was always very comfortable, like where I was at. Like, I didn't really like attention. Like, I was just like, I don't want like to be like the center of attention ever. But there was just a point where I was like, I need to step out of my comfort zone. Like I'm not gonna grow, I'm not gonna be challenged if I'm just like scared to do everything. So my brother was a big influence in that, and ever since then I've just loved it. Like it's been a huge growth. It's allowed me to grow so much in my life, like not just within the sport, but just as a person, developing like positively, like as you mentioned, like with like mental health, like it's truly like a huge release to freestyle. Like sports in general can really allow people to, get their mind off things. Like it's like a coping mechanism. Like they can really like be mindful in the moment and just focus on a sport. And that's what I think freestyle has truly done for me. Like it's really allowed me to take a break like when I need to, and just kind of flow with music and express my creativity and like be with creative people. And it's always been something that I could rely on to like help me get through a rough week or something. So yeah.
It's so cool to hear you talk about it or how you started and stuff. And I feel like kind of gives me hope, right? You say you didn't know how to juggle or anything at the beginning. Maybe I can figure it out.
Yeah. No, really, it's for anybody. That's the amazing thing about it. Like the most unlikely person can learn freestyle.
Yes, I love that. That's what I was speaking with another episode in this series about just all you need is a ball, right?
Mhm.
Like, that's I don't know. I think I said it way too many times in that episode, but it's true. Like that's all you need. You don't need a team. You don't need a pitch. You can do it literally anywhere. I'm not sure if my studio apartment would be the ideal place to do it, but we can try it out.
Yeah, no, I will train inside my apartment. I have a 1 bedroom apartment, but it's tiny. It's super tiny. I will train in it. You can literally train anywhere. That's the
Yeah,
beauty of it too.
that's so
Yeah.
cool. So cool. All you need's a ball. But
Hmm.
Awesome. I guess I can kind of tell like you love the creative part, and I know you say you teach sometimes, but what part about freestyle do you like the most? I know there's the performing and competing, which is obviously super exciting and exhilarating. The creative part, I don't know, but what's kind of like your favorite thing about freestyle?
It's a hard question. I don't know. It's been such a long journey with like learning what I like about freestyle. Because don't get me wrong, freestyle can be extremely frustrating at times. Like it takes a lot of patience, especially when learning a new trick. I used to hate competing, but now I love competing. I think competing would actually be my favorite part of freestyle, because it's so like you really have to step outside of yourself and not worry about anything, and it's just you and like the ball and like giving it your all. Like you're stepping out of your comfort zone so much, and I feel like I have grown so much from just that one experience being in a competition, you know. I love teaching too. I wouldn't say it's my favorite part, but it is definitely like a really fun part, like being able to, see like youth. Like my brother, he has a freestyle company called Undefined Football. So he does like programs and like after school programs and summer camps and stuff, and he teaches youth. So sometimes he asks me to come help if he has like a girl in his class, and it's really like inspiring to like see somebody so young wanting to learn freestyle and wanting to like learn a new trick, or like it's just really cool to me, like teaching like the new generation, of freestylers.
Definitely, definitely. I wanted to kind of ask you about that. You mentioned like if there's a little girl or something, you'll go help out. But how have you seen like the growth of women in this? I know there weren't too many at the beginning when this kind of became a sport, like I guess a competitive sport, maybe 10 years ago, maybe. I don't know the timeline. But yeah, how have you seen the growth of women in this?
It has grown tremendously. Like I can't even explain how much it's grown. I don't know if it's just because I haven't like when I first started freestyle, I wasn't really delved into the community as much. It was just kind of like something, my own personal thing. But like seeing the difference between then and now is like incredible. Like I remember when I first started freestyle, the only freestyler I knew was Caitlin. Do you know Caitlin? Yeah, she was like a big inspiration of mine, and also Indy Cowie. And just like those were the only two that I knew, that I looked up to, that I could like learn from. And now just seeing on Instagram like how many young girls are learning freestyle, and like they're really good at it. I'm just like, dang, where did all these people come from? Like it's just growing so much. And I don't know if it's just because like freestyle is becoming more exposed, or like where it's coming from. I don't know. But yeah, it's really cool to me. Like it can be kind of like, I mean, in Virginia, there's not too many female freestylers that I know of. There's only, well, that I know of, me and Kaylin. I don't know if you know Kaylin Hernandez. Yeah. Um, but, just from when I started to now, like I didn't know any freestylers in Virginia. So now there's Kaylin. But yeah, it's grown a lot. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm sure that's so cool to actually be a part of it and like see it happening and meeting people and the communities growing and stuff like that, which is so cool. But let's talk about you. Let's talk about your top 4 USA female football freestyler. Was this through competition? I guess can you kind of just explain like how that happens? Like I've talked about freestyle competitions, but how do you work your way up like that?
Yeah, so there's a USA championship competition every summer. That's always in New York. Well, the past couple years has been in New York. This or last summer it was canceled because of COVID. The summer before then, which was 2019, was actually my first time competing. And so I went and did the USA female or USA freestyle competition. And there were 5 girls who competed. I placed fourth. So I wouldn't say it's like a major accomplishment. But yeah, so there was only 5 females, but that was actually the first time that there was a separate competition for the females and the males, because the past years before then, it was there weren't enough females. There were only either one or none. Like, I was always scared to compete before then. Before then, I think it was only Caitlin that would compete in those the USA championships. I would always go and watch because my brother would compete in it. But I was always too scared to actually like go up and compete. But the summer of 2019 was the first time 5 females actually competed. So that's how I got to be fourth. But yeah, so there are not a lot of competitions in the US. The USA Championship is the biggest competition that we have. It's not super, like, not a lot of people know about it. But there are like smaller competitions that happen for different like freestyle or football companies. My brother with his company had a competition that same summer in Richmond. It was very small. And then there's another, I don't know if it's a company, maybe it's just like a community of people called Uncommon in LA. They had a competition too. They've had a couple, but they're usually pretty small. Like, I think that more people are gonna start to like come out and know about it in the upcoming years. But that's how I got to be the 4th female freestyler. Yeah.
Say that's not much, but just making history and being in the first female competition, that's so cool. That's so crazy. But yeah. I love it. I love hearing stuff like that, because it's like, oh, like to you, that's a normal thing, right? Like, oh, like I did this. But that's so crazy for me to hear, like that is making history for women in sport. And I love it. Awesome. Let's talk about, I guess, your process. Just a few more questions, by the way. But just your process of making like new moves and combinations. Like, I don't know where I would begin if I were to do this. So I guess, what's that look like for you? I know, I'm sure y'all share ideas and kind of videos and see things. But yeah, what's the process like for you?
I'm like not, I'm very random when it comes to like, I don't have a set process. That's like a fun thing about freestyle too. Like, the tricks are endless. Like, you can come up with your own, you can look up tutorials. I lean on the side of tutorials on YouTube. Luckily, I have a brother who knows a bunch of tricks too. So when we train together, sometimes he'll see like, okay, like you can push yourself, try this trick. And he'll tell me, and I'll land it in that session. There's a new trick I learned. And then you can create different combinations between or with all the tricks that you know. So the big process for me has been, having somebody tell me, oh, try this, or looking up a tutorial myself, and kind of playing music and going through the music and allowing my tricks to just flow. Like, I really just like allow everything to just flow. I don't really have a set process of like, okay, I'm going to do this trick today, I'm going to learn this trick today. Like, I'm really random with it. That's probably not the best way to learn. But it's kind of worked for me. It's fun for me. It's like I said, like, freestyle is a hobby for me, so it's just fun. Like, you can learn any way you want to, so as long as you're having fun. So that's my big process. Yeah.
Definitely. Samu was saying that it's like there's never like a peak, like there's always something new to learn. There's always something else to work on. Which is why I think it's grown a lot just in this last year, right? Like, everybody's locked up in their house. They probably have a ball of some type. So they're going to figure it out and start training themselves, which is so cool. And the randomness, it works. It obviously works for you. So awesome. But cool. Okay. So just last question. I end all of my shows on advice. So what is one piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
I would say take risks. Like, growing up, I was always so scared. I kind of touched base on this a little bit, but I was always so scared to like do a competition or like street perform or like tell somebody about freestyle. And like that's been the biggest development and growth for me, is actually saying like, no, like I'm gonna do this. And even if it didn't turn out the way I wanted to, just that mere like fact that I did it is reassuring to me and is encouraging to me, and like I would hope is encouraging to others. You know, like oftentimes like in the female freestyle scene, like, you know, it can be intimidating. It can be like, okay, like I'm not as good as this person, so I'm not going to show up, or I'm not going to compete because these females are better. And that's not the mindset that we should have as freestylers. We should all be like encouraging and uplifting one another, because at the end of the day, like everybody has to start from somewhere. And you know, we all started at that point. And even if it's just a couple tricks that, you know, like taking that leap of faith and just going out there and like practicing in public, like something as simple as that can like boost so much confidence. And like, you know, like people, you'll be surprised, like people really get inspired, like just seeing a simple trick, you know. And like taking that step, even if you feel like you're not there like with your freestyle, just take the leap of faith and go out there and practice in front of people, compete in competitions, like teach somebody. Like all of that can make a huge difference in the long run, I think.
Definitely. You've inspired me. Maybe I'll pick it up sometime soon.
Yeah, you should.
We'll see. We'll see. Awesome. Well, Imelda, this was great. Thank you so much for sharing your story and giving me some of your time.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Imelda, for coming on the show. Go check her out on Instagram. It's at IMEL Freestyle. And next on Friday, we're featuring Samuel Weller. He's a German freestyler, and he has lots of really cool experience, and he does crazy tricks. So go check him out. But his episode is coming on Friday at 10 a.m.